Breaking news, the Minnesota Vikings just made a move that has everyone talking. Former first-round pick Jeff Okuda is officially joining the team on a one-year deal. This shocking decision comes after Okuda visited the Vikings facility, and now he is set to play under defensive coordinator Brian Flores. But why did the Vikings choose Okuda? And what does this mean for their secondary? Stay with us as we dive deep into this crucial signing. Okuda was drafted 3rd overall by the Detroit Lions in 2020 with high expectations, but his career has been full of ups and downs. Injuries plagued his early years, limiting him to just 10 games in his first 2 seasons. Despite the setbacks, he bounced back in 2022, showing glimpses of his true potential before being traded to the Atlanta Falcons in 2023. In Atlanta, he played 13 games with 9 starts, but failed to solidify himself as a long-term solution for the Falcons. After just 1 season, he moved to the Houston Texans, where injuries once again kept him from making a significant impact. Now at 26 years old, he finds himself with another opportunity to revive his career, this time in Minnesota. Okuda had multiple options in free agency, but ultimately chose to return to the NFC North, where his NFL journey first began with the Lions. Now he joins a Vikings defense that has been actively making moves this offseason, bringing in key additions to strengthen their secondary. The signing of Okuda is seen as a low-risk, high-reward move for the Vikings. If he can stay healthy and perform at a high level, he could provide valuable depth and competition at the cornerback position. Under Flores, Okuda has a chance to develop his skills and carve out a role in a defense that is looking to make a statement. This upcoming season, stay tuned as we break down more details on this signing and what it means for the Vikings moving forward. Jeff Okuda's journey to the Minnesota Vikings is a story of resilience and second chances. After being selected 3rd overall in the 2020 NFL Draft by the Detroit Lions, expectations were sky high, but his early career was derailed by injuries, limiting his playing time and preventing him from making the impact many had anticipated. After struggling to stay on the field in Detroit, Okuda was traded to the Atlanta Falcons in 2023, where he played 13 games and made 9 starts. His time in Atlanta showed flashes of his potential, but inconsistency and injuries kept him from securing a long-term role. The Falcons opted not to extend him, and he entered free agency looking for a fresh start. That opportunity came with the Houston Texans in 2024, but once again, injuries limited his availability. He appeared in just 6 games for Houston, primarily playing on special teams. Despite these challenges, Okuda remains a player with undeniable talent. His combination of size, athleticism, and physicality makes him an intriguing addition to the Vikings secondary, especially under the guidance of defensive coordinator Brian Flores, known for his ability to develop defensive backs. Flores has a reputation for getting the best out of his players, and Minnesota's coaching staff is confident they can help Okuda tap into the potential that made him a top 3 draft pick at just 26 years old. Okuda still has time to turn his career around, and the Vikings are giving him that chance. The move also aligns with Minnesota's strategy of adding depth and competition to their cornerback group. This offseason, the team has been focused on strengthening its defense, and Okuda's signing is part of that broader plan. If he can stay healthy and regain form, he could become a valuable rotational piece in the Vikings defensive unit, adding both experience and depth to a position group that needed reinforcements. Jeff Okuda's arrival in Minnesota is part of a larger effort by the Vikings to revamp their defense. This offseason, the team has been actively reinforcing its secondary by bringing in key additions. Alongside Okuda, Minnesota recently re-signed Byron Murphy Jr. and secured Isaiah Rodgers and Taviere Thomas as additional options for the cornerback room. Despite his struggles in previous stops, Okuda still possesses the traits that made him a top draft pick at 6'1" and over 200 pounds. He brings size and physicality to a position group that has been searching for stability. His ability as a run defender has been one of his stronger attributes throughout his career, and the Vikings will look to maximize that under Brian Flores' defensive system. One of the biggest questions surrounding Okuda is whether he can improve his performance in pass coverage. Throughout his career, he has struggled with consistency, allowing a high completion percentage when targeted by opposing quarterbacks. His time in Detroit, Atlanta, and Houston showed flashes of his potential, but never on a sustained level. Minnesota's coaching staff believes that with the right scheme and development, Okuda can still be an asset, and the secondary Flores' aggressive defensive philosophy could be the key to unlocking Okuda's game. The Vikings' defense relies heavily on physical press coverage and disguising coverages, something that could play to Okuda's strengths. If he can stay healthy and adapt to the system, he may have a real chance to carve out a meaningful role in Minnesota's defensive rotation. Okuda's journey has been filled with obstacles, but at just 26 years old, he still has time to turn things around and prove he belongs in the NFL. The Vikings signing him to a one-year deal shows they are willing to take a chance on his upside and see if he can provide value in a competitive cornerback group. His addition may not be a blockbuster move, but it is a calculated decision by the Vikings to bring in depth and potential in a position that required reinforcement. The signing of Jeff Okuda aligns with the Vikings' recent approach to strengthening their roster through calculated low-risk, high-reward moves. Okuda is no stranger to the NFC North, having started his career with the Detroit Lions before bouncing between Atlanta and Houston. Now he has a chance to redeem himself in a division he knows well while competing for a spot in Minnesota's defensive rotation. The Vikings secondary saw several changes this offseason, and the addition of Okuda provides another layer of depth and competition. Minnesota's front office has been strategic in acquiring players with untapped potential, hoping that a change of scenery and a fresh system can reignite their careers. In Okuda's case, the belief is that under the guidance of Brian Flores, he can develop into a more reliable cornerback. While injuries and inconsistent play have defined his career so far, Okuda has not lacked effort or physicality on the field when healthy. He has shown flashes of strong man coverage skills and aggressive tackling attributes that could fit well in Flores' defensive scheme. The challenge will be staying available and proving he can handle starting reps against elite NFL receivers. The Vikings are not expecting Okuda to step in as an immediate star. Instead, they see him as a valuable depth piece who can push for playing time while providing insurance in case of injuries to other key players, with Byron Murphy Jr. and Isaiah Rodgers likely locking down starting roles. Okuda will have to compete against others in the secondary to earn his place. His ability to contribute on special teams could also play a role in securing his spot on the final roster for Minnesota. This move represents another smart addition to a defense that is looking to improve its overall depth and versatility. Okuda's journey in the NFL has been filled with setbacks, but this fresh start with the Vikings could be the opportunity he needs to prove he still belongs in the league and can contribute at a high level. The Vikings' decision to bring in Jeff Okuda is part of a broader strategy to add competition and depth to a secondary that has seen multiple changes in recent years. Okuda has been through several teams in a short period, but Minnesota offers him a system that could help him maximize his strengths. His time with Detroit, Atlanta, and Houston was marked by both promise and frustration, but now he has a chance to establish himself in a defense that values versatility and aggression. Brian Flores' defensive philosophy could be a good match for Okuda's physical style of play. His approach to press coverage and aggressive schemes could help Okuda refine his skills and carve out a role within the Vikings secondary. While there are no guarantees about his future with the team, the one-year contract provides an opportunity for both sides to evaluate the fit. Okuda's presence also adds much-needed depth to a position group that has faced challenges with injuries and inconsistency in recent seasons. While Byron Murphy Jr. remains the team's top corner and Isaiah Rodgers has been brought in to play a significant role, the Vikings need players who can step in and contribute when called upon. If Okuda stays healthy and performs well, he could become an integral part of Minnesota's defensive plans heading into the new season. Given his draft pedigree and natural ability, there's still a belief that he can develop into a productive player with the right guidance. The Vikings coaching staff will be looking to bring out the best in him and help him reach his potential. As training camp approaches, Okuda will need to prove himself on the field to secure his place on the roster. The competition for spots in the secondary will be fierce, but this could be the opportunity he needs to revive his career and establish himself as a valuable contributor for the Vikings. Jeff Okuda's move to the Minnesota Vikings is not just another signing, but a calculated decision by the front office to strengthen the secondary while taking a low-risk chance on a former high draft pick. Before officially joining the team, Okuda visited the Vikings facility where he met with the coaching staff and underwent evaluations that likely played a role in the team's decision to bring him in. This visit allowed the Vikings to assess not only his physical condition, but also his mindset as he looks to revive his career at just 26 years old. He is still in his prime years as an athlete, and Minnesota sees potential value in giving him a fresh opportunity. While Okuda's past struggles in coverage have raised concerns, his size, athleticism, and tackling ability have never been in question. In fact, during his time in Detroit, he had moments where he displayed strong press coverage skills, particularly when facing elite receivers like Justin Jefferson in their previous matchups. Jefferson, one of the best wide receivers in the league, has already lined up against Okuda, making this transition even more interesting for the Vikings as they integrate him into their defensive system. Training camp will be crucial for Okuda as he competes for a role in a crowded cornerback room with Byron Murphy Jr., Isaiah Rodgers, and other defensive backs vying for snaps. The competition is expected to be intense, with players like Mickey Blackman and Tavier Thomas also in the mix. Minnesota has prioritized adding depth at the position, and Okuda will need to prove himself early to secure a role. Whether he ends up as a rotational player or a potential starter will depend on his ability to improve his coverage skills under Brian Flores. The Vikings' defensive scheme requires aggressive press coverage and versatility, traits that Okuda has shown flashes of throughout his career. If he can stay healthy and adapt to the system, he may have an opportunity to earn significant playing time and contribute more than just as a depth piece. Fans should keep an eye on how he progresses in Minnesota, because if he regains confidence and consistency, he could be a valuable asset to the team in the upcoming season. Now the question remains, will Jeff Okuda take full advantage of this opportunity and solidify his place in the NFL? Thank you for tuning in. Go Vikings!